Well, this is what I've been waiting for. We're going to do a recording of how you make a adventure lab geocache. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to open up um, my adventures. I'm going to click right here under my adventures. And that's going to open up the labsgeocaching.com, and I'm going to say continue. Here we go. Now that we're signed in, let's take a look and see what we have on this page. I'm going to make it full screen so we can see it a little easier and make it a little bigger. There we go. So it shows over here under the Adventure Labs that I don't have any available credits because I haven't claimed a credit yet. But on the right hand side, it talks about the 4 things that you will need to obtain your credit. You have to have a active premium membership, no available player builder credits, no unpublished adventures, and you have to have passed the eligibility date. And our eligibility date was December 3rd, so we're way past that. So now I'm going to click Claim Credit. And that's going to give me some confetti and say, congratulations, you have a new Adventure Lab. And there it is. Available credits are 1. Now, what I'd like to talk about first is getting ready or preparing to create an adventure lab. And there's a couple of things to make it a little bit easier for you. Let's shrink this down to the side. So what we do is we plan our adventure lab out ahead of time. And in a document, either a Word document or in Apple a Pages document, whatever, however you want to do it, you're going to build the adventure lab. So we have the description, which is the start of the show, and it just tells everybody what's going to happen. And if there's a bonus, it talks about that. And then the locations. So Pine Tavern is the first location. I need to make sure that we have some coordinates and then some questions. And then we do this for every single one of the Adventure Lab stops. So when you're building it, you can just move right through. Photos. So we go out and we decide what photos that we're going to use, and these are what we're going to use in the Adventure Lab. So this is for the Bend Bulletin. This is going to be the picture for the Cozy Hotel, the First Baptist Church, and the old post office, and finally Pine Tavern, what Pine Tavern looks like. So this is the boilerplate of what we do just to make it easy to create one of these adventure labs. So let's bring it back up. So from this page, once you have your available credit, and we can have locations, it says up to 5, visibility must be set as public, of course. There's no fees allowed. Physical placement is not allowed unless you do a bonus, which we do have, all right? But that's after the Adventure Lab. And hyperlinks are not allowed. So here I'm going to click Get Started. And that's going to bring up the very first page. And make that a little bigger so everybody can see it. So we need an adventure title. What are we going to call this adventure lab? So let's go back to the Pages document, and you can see that we have a name here. We're going to call it Ben's Early Beginnings Part 3. So I'm going to copy that, and then I'm going to go back to the adventure. And we're going to paste the title in. And you notice that you only have 50 characters for the title. And then it wants a description. So for the description, let me see if I can make this a little bit easier. this over here. All right, this will be a little easier to do. Description, I'm going to copy what I put in and watch for a bonus in one of the lab locations. And actually, I changed that a little bit in watch for the bonus coordinates in one or more of the lab locations because we decided that we're going to put it in two different parts. And then I'm going to copy this, and notice I have the GC number for the bonus. And why would I do that? I'm going to tell you why. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it in here. And notice down at the bottom that you have 2,000 characters, and we only use 1,253. So in the description, you want to explain to the people that are going to be doing your adventure lab what they're going to get into, right, and what's going to be involved. Right here, I'm going to say that it's you can easily do it in the 2-hour downtown parking. And then I'm going to talk about the bonus, and I'm going to give the GC number. And the reason why I give the GC number is we've done a few labs where we had a really hard time finding where the bonus was. So to make it easier on people doing the geocache or the adventure lab, we always put the bonus in. So that's done. That portion of it is finished. So let's scroll up now. Now it wants a cover image. Choose an image that captures the theme of the adventure, right? And what we're going to use there's a couple of things that we could use for the theme, so to speak, but I am going to choose, okay, there we go. I'm going to use this as the cover image. Nothing better than a stained glass image of Bend. It's beautiful. And then what do we need to select is we can select up to 3 items that reflect the adventure. I think that it's not going to be a driving tour. It's definitely going to be walking, and it's going to be education. It is definitely educational. And it is a history tour, so I'm going to click on history. So those are the 3 things that we're going to use. Now, it says Adventure Lab starting location. Okay, so you can have this Adventure Lab start in a number of locations, but what I'm going to try and guide people to start at the Pine Tavern and then move across town and end at the post office, because the post office is going to be close to where the bonus is. So I'm going to try and move people in the direction of completing this or starting this at Pine Tavern. So the starting location I'm going to have as Pine Tavern. So if I come to Pine Tavern and I find the coordinates, which I've already have, and I'm going to say copy, and paste them in here, and now I can see this. I can see view on where the location is, and you can see that it's right in front of the Pine Tavern. And you can actually, believe it or not, 642, you can actually take this spot and you can move it around, and if you move it, the coordinates change. So if you don't like where it's at, you can just move it. But I want it right in front where I initially started. Let's make sure I got the same coordinates. There we go. And that's the location. Here, I'm going to click. I have read and I agree to the terms, and I understand that creating my draft adventure, I am redeeming my adventure lab credit, and I'm going to click that. So there you go. There's how you start it out. So let's back up to the top. We got our player credit. We have a title. We have a description that explains to everybody what they're going to be getting into and how long it's going to take. It is historic. We got the Bend sign, which is pretty historic in itself. And we have the starting coordinates, or viewing it on the map. It's right where I wanted it. And then we've clicked that we agree to everything. Now click on create the draft. So now we are running. So at the top up here, you can see that we have that picture. When somebody looks at this on their iPhone or their Android phone, they'll be able to click on that picture and it'll fill the whole screen up. From here, you can do a couple of things. If you didn't like what you saw an error or you wanted to change something in here, you could click on edit and then you could change it. And then here it is, there's the themes: education, history, walking tour. Now it wants to know, do you want sequential or non-sequential? Well, sequential means that the geocacher has to do it in the exact order that you're building it. And we've learned from past history that when we have made something sequential, most geocachers don't like it, and they tend to give you not a very good rating. So we usually, unless there's some really prevailing reason to make it non-sequential, we always make it non-sequential and not sequential. So now we're going to create the first location. And the first location, it wants the title, and the title, we're going to come over here and look at it. It's Pine Tavern. So that's what we're going to call it. And then it wants a location description. So we're going to come again over here. All of this stuff was done ahead of time. And I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to paste it right in the box. And we've used 1,000 characters. We get 2,000. So there's nothing else that I want to put in here. And it wants a YouTube video. No, we're not going to put a YouTube video in. Putting YouTube videos just don't work that well. But it does want a image, right? So we're going to choose the file where the image is. So we're going to click on that, and then we're going to navigate over here to iCloud and to desktop and historic Bend, and here's the cover photos, and it's going to be Pine Tavern. We're going to click on that, and there it is. There's Pine Tavern. It's as easy as that. And then it wants, of course, location coordinates. So again, we have those. We already pre-did those. Remember, that's going to be what people are looking at when they go to see this lab. It's going to try and start them out right at that location. We're going to paste those in, and we're going to say View on Map. And let's zoom in, and just to make sure. And it is right where we want it, right in front of Pine Tavern. The next question it asks is geofencing. The geofence distance sets the virtual graphic boundary around the location. It can be from 20 to 500 meters. We are going to make it 20 meters. So if somebody gets within 20 feet of this or 20 meters of this cache, they're going to be able to see what the question is and see the background information. Now, the question we did do, if we come over here and we look, we do have a single choice question. You can make it multiple choice, but this is a pretty easy one, so we're going to make it single choice. The question is, what type of pine tree grows? I'm going to copy it, and we're going to paste it right in here. Boom. Here we go. What type of pine tree grows in the restaurant? One word, capitalized. And the answer is ponderosa. So we're going to put the answer in. So they have to put it in exactly like that. And we're telling them one word, capitalized. And where did they get that? Well, they get that from the description. So in the description, it tells what type of tree is growing in the tavern, and it's right here, ponderosa pine. So we don't want to confuse things and make people put two words in, and that's why we said one word capitalized. So ponderosa is the answer. And then here it says location completion YouTube video. Again, I'm not a real fan of the YouTube videos. Most people don't want to spend the time looking at them, so we just don't do that. And then it wants a completion image, and we do have a completion image. So we're going to go back to the historic plaques, and what I'm going to use as the completion images are these are the historic plaques that are at every single one of the locations that we're going to do. They all have historic plaques, and in the plaque itself, it also says the name for the large ponderosa pine that grows in the dining room. So that's what that is all about. So we're going to choose that, and we're going to say upload, and then that's going to upload that. And then it wants a completion message, which we do. We did a fun fact. And I'm going to copy the fun fact. And sometimes in these completion messages, you can put what the final coordinates are, or part of the final coordinates. And we're not going to put one in the first location. It's going to be down the road. So, fun fact, the oldest restaurant in Banff, established in 1936, making it the longest continuously operating restaurant in the city. That's pretty historic. I'm going to click Create Location, and that will work a little bit, but we're creating the first location. So here we go. This is the description again. This is the first location, which is Pine Tavern. So now I'm going to go up to the top again, and we're going to say create another location. And that's right here. See, create new location. So we're going to click on that. And the next location is going to be the Cozy Hotel. So let's go here to Cozy Hotel. It's a pretty interesting hotel, by the way. I'm going to do a couple of these just to show you how this works. And I'm going to paste that in, Cozy Hotel. And again, it wants the description. And we have the description right here. Going to copy that. And we're going to come over here. We're going to paste it in. There it is. We have 1,395 characters out of 2,000. Talks about the Cozy Hotel. And it wants again, if you want to do a YouTube video, which we're not, and then a cover image, which is going to be the cover hotel. It's going to be the Cozy Hotel. There it is. Upload. And then the coordinates. And we're going to come over here. We're going to copy these coordinates. You see how fast you can do this. If you think about it ahead of time and you put it in, spend some time, put some time in working on these lab caches, then it's pretty easy to do. So this right here, 327, is the Cozy Hotel. So this is going to take you right to the front. I'm going to move this over just a wee little bit. There you go. And again, the geofencing, we're going to make it 20. That's the least amount that you can make it. Question, and again, it's going to be single choice question, and the question is, how high were the ceilings? And we're going to say we want a 2-digit number. Click in here, paste. How high were the ceilings? 2-digit number, and the answer is 20. They were 20 feet. We don't want them to write feet, we just want a 2-digit number, and it talks about that up in the write-up. It talks about the 20. Here it is with its 20-foot ceilings. There you go. So that's the answer to that. And then it wants a completion image. So we're going to choose that file. We're going to go to the historic plaques, and here's what the plaque looks like. Built in 1917. Nice picture of it. We're going to say upload. There it is, and then we're going to need a fun fact for this. So the location completion message is the fun fact. And the fun fact is the Cozy Hotel was known as the only respectable place for ladies traveling alone to stay in Bend. Now here, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the coordinates in for the bonus. And I'm not going to put the real coordinates in. I'll go back and do that later, but we'll say bonus. And of course it's going to be north 141 space and then XX dot XXX. I just wanted to make sure I had enough characters. So that's where I'm going to put we're going to put the bonus in. We'll put it in two of the locations. One is going to be in what I would consider the second location that people are going to go to, but they don't get it all, so they got to keep moving on and doing the rest of the lab cache. Create location. And there you go. It has the second location in the Cozy Hotel. And then let's just keep moving through. So let's just make a third location. And then the third location is going to be the First Baptist Church. So we're going to find out First Church in Bend, I guess. First Church in Bend, because as you're walking, this is how you would walk to the final, or walk over to the post office. You're going to walk right by these. And then the description again. And we're going to paste that in. There's the description. And we're not going to do a YouTube video. We're going to do a cover image. And the First Church in Bend. Oop, not that one. We want to do a cover photo. All right, First Church in Bend. There it is. And here's what it looks like. That's pretty historic. That is a church from a long, long time ago. And then upload. There it is. And then we're going to put the coordinates in where this church is, how people are going to walk. There we go. We're going to paste those in. View on map. And you notice that it's not moving too awfully much. That's just because it's just moving down the road. So here it is. If people would walk right over from over in here, here's the Cozy Hotel. They're going to come down here, walk down the street, and they're going to walk to the Foundry Church, which was the first church there. And then we're going to say 20 feet or 20 meters, not feet. And it's going to be a single question again. And the question is, and this was kind of interesting, what would not be tolerated on the church property? One word. And the answer to that, if you haven't guessed already, is not beer, but liquor. And again, it talks up in the description, it talks about it not tolerating liquor. And then no video. Again, we're going to choose a final image, and that's going to be in historic plaques in the First Church in Bend. We're going to upload it. There it is. And then the fun fact. And the fun fact here, I thought it was pretty fascinating. The fun fact is the First Baptist Church, Baptists held joint Sunday school with Presbyterians until they built their own church. That's pretty interesting. And then click Create. And there we go. Now we have non-sequential, we have Pine Tavern, Cozy Hotel, and First Bend Church. And then we're going to create a new location. And then the next location is going to be the old, not the post office, but the Bend Bulletin. So they call it, in the history plaques, they call it the Old Bend Building. And this has a really interesting fun fact. I think you'll be surprised. And then I'm going to copy the description. Here it is. Copy, paste, and that's the description of what we're looking at. And then no YouTube video. We're going to choose file. It's going to be the cover photos, and it's going to be the Bend Bulletin. This is pretty fascinating. Let me, let's go back to that for a second, the Bend Bulletin. And I'm going to make that big for you to take a look at. This is pretty good. This was a romantic review of George Palmer Putnam's career at the Bend Bulletin from 1910 to 1914. Mr. Palmer was a fairly famous person. So let's go down here and you're going to see not only was he famous, so we're going to put in the location. Here we go. We're going to copy this and the location of the bulletin, view on map, and it's going to move just a little bit. And it's right there. It's right. The plaque is right in front of the building. And then we're going to make it 20 again. Single choice question. And the question is, copy, paste. The question is, what year did the Bend Bulletin move locations? Make that a plural, 4-digit number, and the answer, oh, I copied the answer, is 1966. I actually copied too much stuff. So we're going to take that answer out of there. All right, so we're telling people that it's a 4-digit number and it moved in 1966. And again, if you go up to the description, it's going to talk about when the bulletin changed locations. And then the choose an image for the final location, historic Old Bend Bulletin, upload the image, and let's go back over here and take a look at that plaque for a second. There we go. And here's where it talks about he operated this from 1940 to 1966, and the bulletin moved to its present location in June of 1966. So our answer is 1966. And then here's the fun fact, and I found this fun fact quite interesting. We're going to copy that, and we're going to paste it here. There it is. George Putnam and Amelia Earhart were married in 1931. And again, here I'm going to put in the I'm going to put the final bonus in here. So bonus, and then it's going to be West 121, and then XXX, oops, and then dot, and then XXX, and I'll put that in later. And then we're going to hit create location, and that's going to create the, there you go. Now we have 4 of the 5 locations done. So we got Pine Tavern, Cosi Hotel, First Bend Church. And again, I can't emphasize how easy these are to do if you do it ahead of time and get prepared. And then we're going to copy, we're going to put this here, the old post office, copy the information, and we're going to paste it in. It was built in 1932, no YouTube video. We're going to choose the post office. Oops, wrong one. We're going to choose the old post office, and I thought that was a beautiful picture. That's what it is. That post office is kind of interesting. Right now, that the antique post office is being turned into a brand new hotel. And then where is it located at? Here's the coordinates. Put those in view on map, and then we're going to zoom in. And you'll see that the post office is here, and just right across the street was the Ben Bulletin. And then we're going to do it at 20 feet, and it's going to be a single choice question. The question is, copy and paste. What was the building made of? One word, starts with C, and is 8 characters. And the answer is, copy, concrete. So there you go. And then no final YouTube video, but we'll choose the another plaque, and we're going to choose the post office plaque. That's what it looks like. That's what it looked like back in the day. It doesn't look much different today. It's built in 1932. And we'll say upload. There it is. And then a final message, a fun fact. And this was pretty interesting. The name of the hotel is the Westman, and it honors Minnie Westman, believed to be one of Oregon's first female letter carriers. A nice nod to postal history. And then I'm going to create the location. So there you go. We got 5 locations. We created 5 locations: Pine Tavern, Cozy Hotel, First Bend Church, Old Bulletin Building, and the post office. So that is good. So the only thing we have left to do, well, there's a couple of things that we can do. We can change the visibility from off to public, but we're not ready to do that because we're gonna load this Adventure Lab to coincide with the bonus, and everything is going to come out on December 30th. We can edit this location, or you can come down and you can click on the pencil and edit any of these other locations that you want. And you can do this well after this thing is live, so if things change, you can go in and fix them. What I want to show you, though, is how to create a test. So you can actually create a test of this Adventure Lab to see if it's working properly. So you click on Test, and it creates in this green box up here. I'm going to copy this and hit copy, and then I can take that test and come down to email, and we're going to create a new email, and I'm going to say this is a test, and then paste it in, and there it is. That's the test. And then we're going to send it to myself. You could send it to one of your friends. Actually, I'll send it to my wife, and then we'll say, you don't need to put that down here. We'll cut that out and put that up here. Paste. There it is. This is the test. And then we're going to send it. All right, so that test is gone and now. So we can shrink this down. So there you go. And then once you're finished with the test and you know that everything is working properly and you can proof everything, then you can click on delete the test. So it's pretty flexible on what you can do with Adventure Labs. So right now we are finished. I'm going to go back to my adventures. So now we have 3 pages of labs. So the first one we ever did was Ben's Historical School Walk. then we did a few more. We did a historic homes of Drake Park, and now the last two we did were lighthouses, and now we have Ben's Early Beginnings Part 3. So there you have it. That's exactly what you need to do to build a lab. Do it beforehand. I highly encourage you going ahead of time, getting all of the coordinates, uh, doing all the cover photos, getting those ready to go. Your final photos, if you want. We usually use plaques for these, and then doing your write-up in some type of Word document just makes things so much easier to do. So there you have it. That's how you build a lab cache. Thanks for listening.